Chapter 1. Hello, Floss. Haven't seen you around here in a while. Come to check up on your horse? The well-dressed, middle-aged man took a seat at the empty counter and stroked his goatee as he glanced over at his employees. I've already met with them. Am I seeing things, or did you lose some hair, Cardo? The barman laughed and ran a hand over his smooth, polished head. Runs in the family. How's business been? Asked Flass. It's picked up this week on account of all these blood cloaks in town. Same reason I'm here. We've been summoned, Cardo. Vac's on his way against now. Is there anything I can offer in assistance? Don't worry, Cardo. I'm not here to recruit you. We'll already be doing enough damage for me to take most of your loyal customers. Flass slid a few gold coins to the barman. Consider that an incidental. On the cloaks. Cardo cautiously took the coins and placed them in his apron. Can I get you anything to drink? Well, I came here looking for Uli Mandriggs. You know him? He's one of them Sirac refugees. You know, black hair, dark eyes, probably the smartest man in the town. The barman's face was blank. I'm sorry, Flass. Lots of guys around here look like that. He walks funny. That's what I always remember about him. He's this tall, solid Sirac, wears loose, heavy clothing, and always takes these enormous strides. Recognition washed over the barman's face. Oh, the rope weaver. He walks real funny-like. His hair, it's always sticking up and wild. Flass laughed. Yeah, that's right. He was a rope weaver. Made some of the finest on this planet, I believe. You're right about his hair, too. He's always running his hands through it, like a twitch or something. When do they usually come in here? Cardo looked out the window. Usually after sundown. He comes in, drinks a few beers, trades some rope, then leaves. I've never seen him with your horse. I don't want him for that, Cardo. Flass looked at the setting sun. It would probably be another 30 minutes. What do you got on the menu? I suppose I'll have a bite to you while I wait. Brambler stew and roasted truss pods, the barman answered. Flass grimaced. It's always the same, huh? That's my number one complaint about living on this fucking planet. No variety. Give me a large bowl of a stew and your best beer. About an hour later, Flass sat with his feet up on the warped driftwood table, 3 empty glasses nearby. He was nibbling off the last edible bits around the thorns of a truss pod, when at last the Sirac trundled in. Flass waved him over. Uli Mandriggs, he said, feeling a bit lightheaded. He smirked at the man's wild hair. Hard to believe a man, so easily mistaken as a desert vagrant, could have so much power. Flass, good to see you again. Got the summons? I did. So the blood cloaks had came back together. Uli nodded. The Ron Wielder has come. He's back here already? In Gunneth? The camp's being set up outside the city. I haven't been there yet, but I should think he will arrive tomorrow, right before the complication. Ah, Flass grinned and ordered another drink. So I hear you are still weaving rope. Uli gave a wide smile, reached into his loose jacket, and pulled out a small bundle, tossing it to Flass. Have one, on me. Flass unwound a bit of the rope, pulled on it experimentally. You still make it like you used to, he said, tucking it inside his finely cut jacket. Keeps mind at ease, replied Uli, taking a sip from his drink. Do you do anything else for fun? Flass prodded, raising his eyebrows towards the horse. Uli returned a stern gaze. I'm just kidding, of course, Flass said. Hey, do you remember how you told me to keep an eye out for possible new arrivals? Those who came here after the net was in place? The Sirac sat up, moved in a bit closer. Have you found any? 2, replied Flass. Where? Right here. Uli glanced around at the other patrons. Which ones? See that guy with the white hair reading over at the corner table? His clothes are too clean, too quality. Yeah, he doesn't quite fit in now, does he? And the other one? 2nd floor, talking to the horse. Uli brought his gaze up a little. The short guy in the miner's suit with the greasy black hair? Yeah, that's him. And what makes these two so special? Looks like a typical miner to me. I don't think they're native to Khaldun. Well, no shit. What did their fucking skin, mate? Flass interrupted. No, I mean, I don't think they're here in exile either. I think they came here after the net was dropped. Unlikely. They're probably from Drag. Folk up there are decently educated, Louis said, taking another look at the two. They did look a bit out of place. I got more than that, too. I had one of my whores do a little investigating. They arrived in Gunneth 2 weeks ago, at the same time. The guy upstairs has been spending almost all his time in the library. Uli sat back. Yeah, so? That just proves he's not some idiot. Although, you do have a point. Nobody goes to the library, except for scroll suitors. He's also taken home a certain whore each night, Flass continued. And, as you know, all the whores in this dump up of town work for me. He never had sex with her. Are you sure she's not just making this up, trying to keep the money? He still paid her, Flass exclaimed, trying to get the point across, and she paid her dues. He just asked her a bunch of simple questions about locals and such. Well, that doesn't make any sense, replied Uwe. I know. He's fucking trying to blend in and look like a local. I was going to talk to him myself, but I figured you'd like the first shot. Uli nodded. Thanks. I'll talk to him. And the other one? Flass looked over at the man reading in the corner. He looked to be about the same age as himself, perhaps a little older. As far as the whores are concerned, he hasn't taken many. Maybe he's got a wife out in Dreg, Uli suggested. What difference does that make? True. So what then? Devouts? That's what I'm thinking. They're from some order. Clergy, the Archives, Monterian Rollers, Veneer, Sirak Orton. They're not fucking Sirak, Flass. I would know. Do they look like Monterian Rollers or Veneer? Flass looked offended. Hey, I'm just saying. They aren't your typical Khaldunians. You told me to keep a lookout for such, so hand over what's due. Fine. You'll probably turn out to be a dead end, but I guess it's something. Here. He slid a few coins over to Flass. Oh, don't even act like that's big money for you. What is that, half a rope? Something like that, I suppose. Flass stood up and finished his drink. All right. Well, I'm going to head off. I got to get a message out to the Jack of the Mines. I've been hearing reports of unrest out there in the south. Flass righted his jacket and straightened his hair, nodding towards Uli, then at Department. Go next time, Cardo, he said over his shoulder as he stepped out of the tavern and into the cold desert night. Uli sat alone at the table, staring out at the mysterious man in front of him. His robes were slightly worn and wouldn't normally stand out in the crowd, but in Gunneth, they did. Uli strode over and sat down at the man's table. Hello, Uli smiled. Hello, replied the man. The Sirak looked him over. His eyes looked smart, and his long white hair, tied up behind his head, was certainly unusual here. I haven't seen your face around here much in Gunneth. You new in town? Just passed him through, the man replied. You're different. You're a recent arrival. Not too many of those around. The man laughed. What gave me away? Clothing's too nice. You blend in fine on any civilized planet, but on this backwater desert planet, not quite. My name's Kevin, the man replied, looking Uli over. You don't look like you belong here either. The name's Uli, a proper Sirak name. So you know your galaxies. Are you a refugee from the war? Kudurru asked. Something like that, I guess. This planet's filled with exiles, refugees, most of all convicts. I'd give anything to go back. Kevin leaned back in his seat and looked around the bar. Is there something I can help you with? Yeah. You and your friend there came to Khaldun after the net was in place. I want to know how. I want out of here, Uli replied. My friend? The ladies' man upstairs, the greasy miner. Turns out he's not quite the ladies' man, but rather a devout. He's much better at blending in than you are, though. Threw my scout off slightly. Kevin looked up at the man in question. He had a miner's uniform on, dirt all over his skin. There was a drink in one hand and a woman in the other. He doesn't look like any devout I know. Is that what you take me for, too? A devout? Well, are you? Kavin thought about it for a second. Theoretically. What order? The clergy. Thark figures. How did you get here? Asked Uli. Federation. They granted an exemption through the net. There's a small control point towards the 45th. I've heard of it. I just didn't know the Federation let anyone through, much less a simple clergyman. Kevin smiled. There's mission work to be done. Uli recoiled. What mission work could there possibly be? Oh, never mind. I suppose there's no way for one to make it out of that control point, is there? Someone like you? Not a chance. It's life form scan passed. Only registered and approved persons can make it through. If an unregistered person go through, yeah, they'll be fried to a crisp. I'm familiar with those scans. It's the same damn ones used for the supply and export ships. Kavin looked at the Sirak and felt a pang of sorrow. Man, you seem like a good guy, but the cards just aren't there. Uli's gaze went back to the grungy miner. Kavin followed it. And your friend, too? He's also clergy? Yeah, he's my acolyte. Damn, another dead end. You could learn a thing or two from him, and it'd be wise to get out of town. The blood cloaks are reforming, and you don't want to be around when that happens. Kavin looked interested. And that group, the Ron, he leads it? Uli thought about it for a second. Vec wasn't really the leader of the blood cloaks. Boar would be the commander. No, the Ron is more like the brains. The Sirak got up to leave. Hey, how come you never tried to preach to me? Who said I was a preacher? Well, I assumed... never mind. Uli turned and left the bar, disappointed. There wasn't enough wind to stir the sand, so he took in a deep breath of fresh air and looked over the rundown city of Gunneth. One of the last few oases here in the great desert. He looked south, towards Dunok. He would have to don the cloak once again. The Desert King was returning. Vec's motives were unpredictable, and his sorcery was wild. This is the way of the Ron. The Gunneth Library. Tucked away from the desert in a system of caverns and underwater lakes which kept the city alive. Its above-ground entrance was far from noticeable, consisting of 4 white rib bones protruding from the earth like a claw trying to grasp its prey. The hole in the middle descended down into the rarely visited institution. The black-haired miner scrambled down the stone rungs and leaped onto a sand mound. An old man emerged from one of the caves. Back again? The miner smiled at the old bookkeeper. I suppose I'm starting to attract some attention for my frequent trips here. The librarian sighed. You know, if you told me exactly what you were looking for, I might be able to help you. It is one of my duties, after all. He looked the old man over. He wore simple clothes and had a friendly smile. This was no scumbag like the locals above. Plus, he could really use the help. He hadn't made any progress. I guess if after 2 weeks of searching, maybe I could use a little help. I'm looking for some older scrolls. Scrolls? You'll have to be more specific than that. Half of this library is old scrolls. Evidently. I'm looking for scrolls from, well, the Heiligen or Gunthian periods. You fool. Nothing that old is here anymore. The Federation and Archives took most of that material many years ago. They raided this planet clean. The miner dropped his head. God damn it. The librarian continued. What would you do with such a scroll anyway? Poach it and sell it off to the nearest market? Is that what you are? The black-haired man approached the old librarian and looked him in the eyes. I'm no thief, he spat. The Howlers told me this place might have what I was searching for. Ark begone. You were with the Howlers? You were outside the rim? Exclaimed the old man. Yes, they kept me alive for a few years. Trained me, toughened me to the ways of life here. I didn't know they took in men. I thought it was a convent, the bookkeeper inquired. I was much younger when I arrived here. They made an exception. And how old are you now? The miner smiled. Time ages one a bit faster here, doesn't it? Stress can age one much faster as well. I shouldn't be talking of age. I'm afraid this library is to be my final resting place. I'm not even fit to make the ascent anymore. Even my food gets dropped down twice a week. The miner looked around. Well, thank you for your help here. I can see my search was, yet again, in vain. There is one, possibility, began the old man. We have a sorcerer on this planet, Vekiva, but he's simply known as Vek. He's part of a dangerous organization. Some Ron are good, and some Ron are bad. There's not many Ron, but this one chose Khaldun for some reason. He moves around a lot, collecting ancient artifacts. He may have got to some of the more ancient scrolls before the Federation did. The miner was interested. I've heard of the Ron. What form is this Vek? Bird-like. How can I find him? You're in luck. He's coming to Gunneth. Really? Be careful. I've heard he's calling the Bloodcloaks together. A very dangerous organization of raiders and mercenaries. The miner brushed off the warning. And his scrolls? How can I find those? He will set up camp somewhere nearby. Large red tents. Will be hard to miss. If he is traveling in a more official capacity, as he is now, he will be sure to bring his entourage. The miner shook the old man's hand. Thank you, sir. I am indebted. Let it burn, commanded Boar. He stood on a hastily constructed stage, overlooking an enormous pile of cloth and wood. The Bloodcloaks were assembled before him, numbering around a few hundred, watching as the fire consumed their old clothes. Uli and Flass stood in a separate line off to the right, with the other officers. Same old Boar. Hasn't changed a bit, remarked Flass. The commander began. You have been gathered here tonight because you were once part of an old order. For many years, that order has been dormant. But now, we are back. The Desert King is back. The Order of the Bloodcloaks has returned. We shall make this planet ours, beginning with the oases, then the supply cities and desert keeps, and finally, Dreg and Dunok. Our red banners will fly over the great cities. The crowd cheered. Drummers began a rhythmic pulse. There shall be pay, women, and loot, said Boar. The Bloodcloaks hollered. There was a flurry of red as the ropes moved wildly. A cloaked figure emerged from the maroon tent behind the stage. The crowd quieted, so much so that you could hear the sound of scratching. Scratching on sand. Boar stepped off the stage and bowed to the newcomer. Sand, wind, sunlight, darkness, blood, blood, blood. The creature snarled. Slowly the crowd joined in on the chant. Blood, blood, blood. Floss and Uli did not partake. Been there, done that, eh, Uli? Uli looked rather out of it. Yeah. Hey, did those guys check out? Clergy. Ooh, bad luck. What are they doing here? Don't know. Didn't ask, don't care. Preaching, I suppose, Flass mused to himself. Probably. Not a good time to be a preacher here on Khaldun. Uli nodded. I suppose they'll be purged rather fast. Circle of life here on Khaldun. We all die in the desert somewhere, and our bones will have plenty of company. A nearly toothless, heavily pierced Khaldunian approached the two. Hey, Floss, excited to be back? Hey, Remy, so you're still alive and kicking, grinned Floss. Ain't nobody kill me yet. Glad to see it, Remy. You're a good warrior. Fighting better than working in the mines. That it is, Floss agreed. That it is. He noticed someone in the distance. Over there. Is that Knock? Remy followed his direction. Yeah, he came for Vec. That guy is one lucky fuck. Hey, Uli, you think Vec make you third man? Of course he will, Flass interjected. Uli is one of the most experienced fighters on Khaldun. Bor, me, Uli. There's your chain of command. Uli shrugged his shoulders. Who knows, Remy? Perhaps. Meanwhile, the miner approached a tent from behind. Big red tent. This must be it. What's going on over there? Are they chanting? What a typical low-life planet. They've all got their kooks. Now let's see what they've got in their collection. The miner entered the tent and found that he was alone. The place was littered with packed crates and piles of bundled clutter. He began sifting through some of them. Look at all this junk. It's going to take forever to sort through. Tomes, carpets, decorative swords. There's even a percussion weapon. Wonder where that came from. No use for it, though, with Khaldun being a powderless planet. Chains, beakers, light crystals. No. Metal trap, big spinning gear contraption, icy Van Walters. Ooh, what do we have here? He found a crate filled with papers and thumbed through a stack of them. After about 10 minutes of further searching, he stopped at a particularly adorned scroll case. The miner withdrew the scroll from inside, and after a few moments, breathed a sigh of relief.